Have you ever wondered to yourself why you have to take a class that's completely irrelevant to your major? Well, I have, and let me tell you, over the course of the 5 semesters that I've been going to school for, it never gets any easier giving up my hard-earned money. College should let you choose your classes rather than have them pick out the classes for you. If you're going to college, or if you plan on going to college, this should stand out to you because it has to do with the most important commodity of all, and that's fat stacks of cash. During this speech, I will go over how college is voluntary, so why aren't our classes, the myths of well-rounded education, the different views of general education through other students, and leaving gen eds to the undecided. Although elementary and secondary education is mandated by the government, college is optional and has to come out of your own pocket. Colleges should not make you take classes that could have no meaning to you. It's not like gen eds are just a few classes either, and they usually can take, up to a full year to do it, and some of the classes could possibly have no impact on your major choice. This is actually brought up in an article called General Education Courses Should Not Be Required, and to quote specifically from the author, she mentions, combining the time devoted to all gen eds, it can be concluded that students will end up spending roughly 2 whole semesters, 1 whole academic year, fulfilling them. This constitutes 25% of the 4 years typically allotted to an undergraduate education. This was quoted from Elise Martirano, and this was on dailycollagen.com. When people make the decision to go to college, they do so in the hopes of equipping themselves for their future potential career. In an article from study.com, it mentions that some students aren't happy paying good money for courses they're not interested in. Also, these requirements usually take a couple years to complete. Some students argue that time spent completing gen eds would be better used taking more classes in their major. Those with work or family obligations often express a desire to be free of gen ed classes so they can concentrate on relevant coursework. This was quoted from Adrian Ridner. Not only this, but throughout education, gen eds require a large array of classes, and some of them are definitely not our strong points. The difference is those harder classes that we used to struggle with are being brought up again, but this time it's going towards our GPA that's for the major of our choosing. That's another reason why it should be up to the students for the classes that they take. As a creative writing major, that I can think of, there's not really a reason why I should have to take math. And going even further, why is there any reasons why I should have to know what parallax is, nihilism, or materialism? And is there any reason why I should know any of that stuff? I'm going to say no. Let's address the common answer to the question I just asked. And when confronted with why college students are forced to take classes they don't need, the common response is gen ed courses give you a well-rounded education, which this is also addressed in study.com. People in favor of gen ed claim that you become more knowledgeable and it enhances you to pursue anything in life. On the other hand, John S. Rosenberg from HarvardMagazine.com mentions students report not taking their gen ed courses as seriously as other courses. Students wish more gen ed courses were worth taking seriously. Students choose gen ed courses differently than other courses, that they tend to look for low workloads and courses that easily deliver high grades. More generally, students have come to expect high grades for little work in gen ed courses. This is a source of dissatisfaction from students and faculty alike. In addition, forcing people to take classes that don't make them well-rounded, because it's easier to retain knowledge that you find when you learn something that you find more interesting. So if you're forced to take classes, it's a lot less likely that you're going to remember it. Now think back to school, like how much of the stuff that you learned then do you remember now? Be honest with yourself. Like, I don't remember too much from high school. And according to Todd Gurecki's article, What Makes Self-Directed Learning Effective, from psychologicalscience.com, he says self-directed learning helps us to optimize our educational experience allowing us to focus effort on useful information that we don't already possess and exposing us to information that we don't have access to through passive observation. The active nature of self-directed learning also helps us in encoding information and retaining it over time. Now I will show you what other students have to say on the matter. Looking at Jamie Wanschneider's article, General Education Requirements Waste Students' Time, from Iowa State Daily, it says, Marco del Rosario Rivera, a freshman in pre-architecture, was required to take Econ 101. When asked how he felt about taking the course, he stated, I won't use any of this stuff taught in Eco 101 in my future career, but I had to take it. Natalie Hansen, a sophomore in biosystems engineering, explained that they only have a general education requirement of 15 credits, unlike the 32 credits most of the LAS students have to take. And she says, we don't have as many general education classes as liberal arts students do, but sometimes the basic classes like science seem redundant. The author then mentions that by taking a large amount of courses that are either unneeded or redundant, students are losing out on opportunities to improve themselves in their path of study. Whether students search for an internship or that first job, employers only really worry about one thing, and that's how well can you perform the tasks assigned to you. As a final thought, all things considered, Gen Eds might make sense for the undecided. In some cases, Gen Eds can be also useful for those who change their majors. I know for me, initially, I was going to go for criminal justice, but then I just started out with taking my Gen Eds and knocking them out, and I actually found out that I really liked English, so that's what I changed my major to. And also, I know that if you go through college, you can't really choose every single class that you want to in that you would find interesting. There do have to be guidelines. And also, maybe I don't think of it now, but I could also use, say, like, if I'm writing stories in the future, I could think about back to my biology, and it'll make it easier for me to write a story pertaining to the biology that I learned through Gen Ed. So they do have their uses. And in closing, in this day and age, it makes sense that since things change, our education should too. College is voluntary and should be treated as such. And it's time we say that we should be able to know and, well, put our money into exactly what we want to have accomplished in college. And I just wanted to know if this stood out to anyone personally, and if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please feel free to leave comments in the section below the video or just email me directly. At the very least, I hope that you take away that what I told you is how I feel, and maybe it'll open up your eyes and see that, college, to me at least, seems like it has one directive motive, and that's to make a little bit of extra money on the side. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to show you the note cards that I had for this video. It's a lot of note cards this time. Did a lot of quoting.